My life collapsed in a courtroom because of two people I trusted more than anyone else. My wife of 15 years wanted everything. My company, my savings, my home, and worst of all, custody of our 10-year-old daughter. As I sat there listening to her expensive attorney describe me as an aging businessman whose mind was supposedly failing, I felt like I was watching my entire life being buried alive. Every sacrifice, every late night, every risk I had taken to build my company was being twisted into evidence against me. My wife, Lauren, sat quietly beside her lawyer, pretending to wipe away tears, while I was painted as an irresponsible father and an unstable man. Then something happened that nobody expected. My daughter, Ava, stood up. She was only 10 years old. But there was a calm determination in her face that immediately captured the attention of everyone in the room. She walked toward the judge, holding a tablet against her chest, and politely asked if she could show evidence. Her mother froze. Her attorney immediately objected. The judge studied Ava for several seconds before finally allowing her to proceed. A few moments later, the courtroom projector lit up. What appeared on the screen changed everything. The footage came from a hidden security camera inside my own kitchen. The timestamp showed it had been recorded only 3 nights earlier. Sitting at the kitchen island was my wife. Next to her was Ethan, my business partner, and the man I had spent years mentoring. They were drinking from my private whiskey collection and laughing together. The room fell silent. Then the audio began. Ethan openly discussed forged financial documents. He explained how millions of dollars had been moved through fraudulent transactions designed to bankrupt me during the divorce. Lauren laughed and said it would be much easier to take my company once I was financially destroyed. Then she made a comment about having me declared mentally incompetent so she could gain complete control of everything I owned. I could hardly breathe. My wife was not only having an affair with my closest associate. They had been working together to destroy me. The judge looked horrified. Lauren's attorney looked even worse. Within seconds, he quietly packed his briefcase, stood up, and announced that he was withdrawing from the case immediately. The judge suspended the proceedings, granted me temporary custody of Ava, and ordered an investigation. It should have been the end. Instead, it was only the beginning. As soon as Ava and I left the courthouse, my phone exploded with alerts. Every bank account connected to my name had been frozen. Corporate accounts, personal savings, investment portfolios, everything Ethan had prepared for the possibility of being exposed. By the time Ava and I stopped at a small diner, I discovered every card I owned had been disabled. I sat there staring at a declined payment receipt while my daughter quietly ate a grilled cheese sandwich. The embarrassment was overwhelming. A man who managed a multi-million-dollar company suddenly could not pay for lunch. Thankfully, I had always been cautious. Hidden inside my vehicle was an emergency envelope containing cash. That small backup fund became the only reason Ava and I had a place to sleep that night. We checked into a cheap roadside motel. While Ava rested, I opened my laptop and began digging into my company systems. Before becoming a CEO, I had worked for years in compliance and fraud investigations. Those skills suddenly became my greatest weapon. What I found was terrifying. Ethan was inside the network deleting evidence. Thousands of emails were disappearing. Financial records were being erased. Entire archives were vanishing. Most people would have tried to stop him immediately. I did the opposite. Instead of blocking him, I secretly copied everything he deleted, hour after hour. Information flowed onto my hard drive. The deeper I looked, the worse it became. The affair was only the surface. Ethan had been using my company to move illegal cargo through hidden shipping routes. Shell companies, fake invoices, fraudulent contracts, money laundering. Every trail eventually led to one person, Lauren. My wife was receiving the profits. She was not simply helping Ethan. She was a partner. I sat in that motel room staring at the screen while my daughter slept peacefully a few feet away. Everything I thought I knew about my marriage had been a lie. Before sunrise, federal investigators arrived at my motel room with a warrant. Someone had reported me for financial crimes. The plan was obvious. Ethan intended for the government to arrest me while he escaped with the money. The agents entered, expecting to find a criminal. Instead, I showed them everything. The server records, the deleted emails, the financial transfers, the forged documents. Within minutes, their attitude changed completely. The evidence pointed directly to Ethan, and it pointed directly to Lauren. The investigation shifted overnight. For the first time since this nightmare started, I felt hope. Unfortunately, Ethan still had one move left. The next morning, he called an emergency board meeting and attempted to remove me as CEO. When I arrived, he was standing at the head of the conference table, acting like he already owned the company. Lauren sat beside him, wearing an expensive designer suit purchased with stolen money. Both of them looked completely confident. They thought I was finished. They were wrong. I handed the board members copies of the evidence, shipping records, financial reports, federal documents. The room became silent. Ethan tried shouting. He tried blaming me. He tried calling me unstable. Nobody believed him anymore. Then the boardroom doors opened. Federal agents walked inside. Several marshals followed behind them. The look on Ethan's face was unforgettable. Seconds later, handcuffs clicked around his wrists. The board watched in stunned silence as federal agents arrested him for fraud, racketeering, and multiple financial crimes. Lauren attempted to leave through a side exit. An investigator stopped her and handed her a federal subpoena. Her confidence vanished instantly. For the first time, she looked genuinely afraid. Within minutes, the board reinstated me as CEO. My company was back, under my control. The bank eventually restored access to my operating accounts. Payroll was processed. The business survived. I thought the nightmare was finally ending. I was wrong. Again, that night, Lauren launched a new attack. She filed emergency paperwork claiming I was mentally unstable and dangerous to Ava. By sunrise, child protection officials arrived at the motel with orders to remove my daughter from my custody. The site nearly broke. Me, everything I had fought for, suddenly felt fragile, but this time I was ready. The motel security cameras had captured Lauren attempting to force Ava into a vehicle days earlier. The footage clearly showed her admitting she only wanted custody as leverage. During the divorce, the officials watched the video. The entire case collapsed immediately. The emergency order was cancelled. An investigation was opened against Lauren. Her lawyer abandoned her. Again, at that point she realized she was losing everything. The company was gone. The custody battle was gone. Federal investigators were closing in. Desperate people make desperate decisions. The following morning, she tried to access hundreds of thousands of dollars through a property credit line and planned to flee the country. What she did not know was that I had quietly protected those assets weeks earlier. The moment she attempted the withdrawal, bank security systems flagged the transaction. The building locked down. Police were called. By the time I arrived, Lauren was inside a glass office pretending to be a victim. She claimed I was financially abusive. She claimed I had hidden assets. She claimed she was simply trying to survive. The officers seemed uncertain. Then I handed them the evidence.trust documents.federal subpoenas, custody investigation records. Every lie collapsed one after another. Lauren realized she was trapped. She suddenly lunged across the room and tried to attack me. The officers restrained her. Immediately, handcuffs snapped around her wrists. The woman who had spent months trying to destroy me was finally facing consequences. Before they led her away, I told her one final thing. Ethan had confessed. He had already started cooperating with investigators. He had provided messages, account information, financial records, and details about their entire operation. The color drained from her face. The alliance they built through greed and betrayal had fallen apart exactly the way alliances between criminals always do. She was alone, completely alone. Over the following months, the truth continued spreading. Federal Investigators uncovered years of fraud. Assets were frozen. Properties were seized, charges multiplied. The people who once believed they were untouchable found themselves fighting for survival inside courtrooms and holding cells. Meanwhile, Ava and I slowly rebuilt our lives. For the first time in years, our home felt peaceful. There were no secret meetings, no hidden agendas, no lies waiting around the corner. One evening we sat together on the porch watching the sunset. The sky was painted with shades of orange and gold as Ava leaned her head against my shoulder. She asked me a simple question. Do bad people always lose? I thought about everything that had happened. The betrayal, the fear, the sleepless nights, the battles I never asked for. Then I looked at my daughter and smiled. I told her that life is not always fair. Sometimes dishonest people win for a while. Sometimes good people suffer longer than they deserve. But eventually, the truth catches up. And when it does, it hits harder than any revenge ever could. The people who tried to destroy me believed money could hide their crimes. They believed power could protect them. They believed they could rewrite reality and convince the world that I was the villain.